Hey guys, Keith here. Today I just wanted to do a video of the old section of Atlantic City where I kind of grew up and go through. This was like my grandmother's neighborhood. I'm gonna start this kind of little tour of the section of town right at the end of Atlantic City, the start of Ventnor, which would be at Jackson Avenue. We're going to start along Winchester Avenue because that's the street that she lived on, Winchester. I'm going to take a ride down there, but this is the bay behind me here. We spent a lot of time hanging at the bay, not at this particular part, but we'll go take a ride over to that section and I don't know, just kind of walk down memory lane and kind of look and see what it's like now. I'm going to try and do this while riding a bike. Not exactly sure how well this is going to go, but let's give it a shot. See, there's still people come out here all the time, crabbing, fishing. A lot of history in a lot of these old houses here. People still care about them, take care of them. This is kind of like a section of Atlantic City you don't really hear much about. When you think of Atlantic City, you think of casinos. But there is another section. This here is called the Chelsea section. And back from when I remember, it was around the, I guess, late 80s, early 90s. And actually here, I'm gonna go back down this street over here. This was a park. We spent a lot of time playing when we were kids, and it's changed a lot now. But yeah, this neighborhood was comprised of working class people, and it was very diverse. Very diverse neighborhood. So yeah, this park here, the way I remember it, the way I remember this neighborhood, this section along the bay here was what we call like the wood park, and it was all equipment that was made out of wood. And that little gazebo that's there, that used to be, they used to have like a little park program here, and the kids would come here and they'd have knock hockey and, you know, making whatever they call those, like pottery looms, like, you know, you'd put a pot on your kitchen table and things like that. And the middle section was a basketball court, just one court. And then on the end over there was just another metal things like that, has swings, and I guess that's called like a monkey gym or whatever you'd call that. But yeah, that's what I remember that, being as a kid. But yeah, this was a section of the bay that we used to come all the time. Go take a ride around to the other side over here. Kingston Ave. I remember I had a friend that lived on this street here. Yes, this is the other side of the street here with the park. I actually have some pictures of my daughter at this park when she was very little. I remember taking her here. This is the Herman Zatt Memorial Playground, Kingston Ave. Mayor Marty Small, Sr. Yeah, the bulkhead has all been redone since I was little. This was always a very, very low section of the bulkhead where you can kind of just lean right over. We got one of our seagull buddies over here. Yeah, in this section of the bay at this very corner here, this was always a very deep section, so you you could go swimming off the edge over here. And I would be willing to bet that if it was low tide and we looked over the edge over here in the water, we would see a sink in the water, like an old porcelain, an old porcelain sink. It's been sitting there for since I can remember as a little kid, thinking I don't know how that sink got there, but it always amazed me. It looks like it's got some people crabbing. There's a little channel that goes out to that street over there. I think it's called West End Ave. I think that's the street. It goes all the way down to the Acme, which is across and outside the island. That's Ventnor over there. But yeah, it's good. Get back on a ride over here. Yeah, the amount of fishing that we would do as a kid, we'd be out here all the time fishing, and one of the main things we would catch would be oyster. They're called oyster crackers, and those damn things they're so ugly, and you couldn't kill them things. We would take them off the hooks and let them sit on the side of the sidewalk over here and try and kill them by leaving them out, because there were so many of them, and it was just the only thing you'd catch. Every now and then you would catch some sand sharks and stuff like that, but you catch flounder. But yeah, this little park here, I feel like I remember there being some sort of an old building that needed to be torn down. I don't remember this being a park. It was just like an overgrown, abandoned house. And this here Delancey Place, this was one of the streets that my grandmother's house was in between. So we're currently on Sunset Ave, so we're gonna go back up to Winchester. But this is the section that we would come and go fishing. So there's always a bench here, so just a newer one. And again, the bulkheads have all been raised up, I guess because of sea level, waters and flooding and whatnot, that the new code is to have higher bulkheads. So they probably used to be down around where that wooden board is. But yeah, this was Delancey Place, and I remember every day going to the beach, we'd pick if we were going to go down Raleigh or Delancey. But actually, let's just go up to Raleigh Ave over here. Well, now when we walked to the bay, we always took Delancey for some reason. I think it was because where that bench was. There's more benches than there were when I was a kid. This here is, I don't know if it's like from the water company or something like that, but it's always been some kind of a public utility or something, like a pump station of some sort. It used to be a house, now it's like a brick building there. But yeah, so this here, wow, they made that much bigger than it was. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, Raleigh Avenue here. This house on the corner, my friend Bobby lived upstairs, right up those stairs on the front. He was a Spanish kid. I remember it was the first time I ever watched horse racing on TV. And downstairs here, at this little door, there was a woman in there. Her name was Blanche. And it was just like a little one-bedroom apartment. She always had the door open. And there was a couch. She just laid on the couch and she slept on the couch. It was this little one-bedroom, not even a one-bedroom. It was just a tiny little, on the left-hand side, a couch and a TV. And on the right-hand side was like the kitchen area, and she had a little bathroom. And that was it. Her door was always open. and you'd always go in there. And this house over here on the corner, this was the Bongiovanni's house. They owned a little deli around the corner. They were friends with my grandmother. And yeah, the Bongiovanni's, I don't know if this guy's trying to park here, what he's doing, but I'm really impeding his way here. But yeah, all right, so yeah, the Bongiovanni's house, and they had the little garage in the back, and there was a little porch up top they would go out on top of. But yeah, so this was the little row of houses where my grandmother had a house here. It was this tan color one. And if you go and look in the back there, it used to be like all open. So 4309. So it was like an open little courtyard back there, and she used to make us all take showers after coming home from the beach so we didn't track sand into the house. And then after the beach, and after we showered, we'd have to sweep out the, sweep out the hallway, alleyway, whatever you call it. And next door to her was Tony and her son Anthony that lived there. Well, yeah, we spent a lot of time in that little metal fenced-in section right there. The door used to swing open, and we were so little we would be able to just stand on it and swing. But yeah, the house still looks pretty much the same. It's just now stuccoed instead of it being brick. Well, we'll take today to go to the beach. We're going to choose to take Raleigh Avenue instead of Delancey. That's the front of the Bongiovanni's house, 66. Yeah, and right here, this number 58, the downstairs section, that's where a little bird named Squawky lived. And Squawky, I don't even know what kind of bird it was, but it was a pet for sure, but it was like a wild, I don't know, it wasn't a pigeon, it was like I don't even know what kind of bird to call it, but the little bird would come over to our house and play with us, and we would have little toys called Little People, and there was a bus. You put the Little People in, and Squawky used to take the string that was on the front of the bus and pull it around for us, and we used to crack up laughing at it. But yeah, both of my parents grew up down here in Atlantic City, so they always knew a lot of people around here. I remember this house coming up over here, not number 24 here, but the big white one here. It says the Osprey Nest. I still remember there was a guy that was sitting at a picnic table that was out here, and there was a umbrella over top of the picnic table, and we were walking to the beach, and my dad said, "Oh, hey," whatever the guy's name was, we'll just say Joe in this scenario. "Hey, Joe." The guy's like, "Oh, who's that? Oh, is that Gibbons?" So he said hi to him, and I remember looking at the guy, and his eyes were literally yellow. I was like scared, like, the heck is wrong with this guy? So that was the first time I ever saw somebody who was, an extreme alcoholic, that their, eyes were actually yellow. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, this little strip here is Ventnor Ave, and there's a bunch of little stores go along the way here. I forget the name of the little deli that used to be over here, but there used to be a lady, it's like the second building in over there, that she used to, well, she had like several kids, and she used to play the piano with her tongue. And she didn't have any arms or legs. And it was kind of crazy, and she somehow lived upstairs. Like, it wasn't even on the ground level. I don't even know how it ever worked, but you'd see her out with all of her kids, and she'd be playing up on the boardwalk for money. But yeah, it looks like there's some now. It's called Brittany's Cafe over there. It's a nice little breakfast place. Go there often now, still to this day. Got some fans over there saying hello. But yeah, let's keep going down here. Yeah. I still remember some of these houses, walking past them and admiring a couple of them as a kid. I think on the next block. A lot of these look pretty much the same as they did. For how old they are, pretty well kept up. There's some dilapidation happening all throughout this section for sure. But I mean, there's definitely was some money back in the day over here. You can go look in this backyard here. We can see from the public sidewalk. There's like a little pool back there and nice little yard. Kind of crazy. Looks like it's from the house across the way over there. See, now here we'll get up to Atlantic Ave, and then it's the beach. So it's a very thin section of the city where the bay is only a block or so to the beach. And here's some of these, like I remember those lions as a kid, and there was marbles in their eyes. And there's no more lions. But yeah, on these two buildings right here, these were kind of landmarks for us to check the skyline to see what beach we needed to walk back to as we wandered away. And there was always a little hose bib off the side of this building right here. So when we would go back, it was an easy choice of which street to take, whether it was Delancey or Raleigh Ave, because right there where that cone is, there used to be a hose bib on there. You could wash your feet off, so you didn't have to walk home with sand on your feet. So they changed the entrances around here because of the way dunes worked out, but this is the boardwalk in Atlantic City. We go Raleigh Ave. Actually, I'm gonna go down this way. Over here, there's a bathroom that you could use down this way. I believe it was Kingston Ave. There's always some beautiful homes along. Beautiful homes along the boardwalk here. This one here has always been beautiful yard. Little greenhouse out there. It reminds me of old time Atlantic City for sure. Little gazebo area over here, and this is where the bathroom is, and actually the beach patrol house is up here. I have a funny story with that one too, with the beach patrol. There was a neighbor back home that they'd never gone to the beach, so my parents had invited them down. At the time they had two young sons. I think they had more kids later on, but they had two young sons, and I remember back then their parents always complained about how much TV the one kid watched, and we took him down to the beach and the one kid disappears. Well, he wandered away and he saw a TV on inside the lifeguard shack over there, and they found him a couple hours later watching TV in there. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, it was kind of funny looking back on it, but scary when you're younger. A kid lost on the beach, kind of nuts. But yeah, this section right here too, this right next to this pier, before these dunes were here, I don't know what it was, but there was underneath of this boardwalk, it's a big gully that went down in there, and you could walk underneath of it to get to the other side over there. I'm not sure why it was there, but it was. And I remember also as a kid jumping off of this. We would jump off down there, run over to the side over here, walk up the stairs, come back over and jump down. And this kid, I don't even know who he was, but he came and jumped off. And as he landed, his bone came through his skin. Oh my God, it was the most disgusting thing. And yeah, that was the end of jumping off of that section right there. But yeah, the dunes have kind of blocked the view of the ocean from the boardwalk here, but it's still right there, I can assure you. So here's Delancey Place. This is the other beach we would come to. I do remember the lifeguard's name over here. His name was Pete. My grandmother loved Pete. She could kind of use him as a babysitter for us. We would come down and make sure you go to Delancey, and you know, Pete would know us there. He knew my grandmom. But yeah, the neighborhood was definitely a diverse neighborhood, working class. Not a lot of people, you know, use it. It wasn't really vacation home and touristy. It was never like that. And that was kind of the allure of this place to me as a kid. It wasn't all busy and everything like Ocean City. We would go there from time to time, but it wasn't really, you know, that wasn't what I liked. There was really nobody on the beach. And it's still like that today, even in Ventnor. You know, I started investing probably 20 years ago in real estate, and back then, you know, a lot of casino workers, you know, would live in that section of town and then just go down and work at the casinos. But the, you know, times changed and casinos closed and the neighborhood changed a little bit, but I initially kind of invested in there because I had I don't know, just an attraction to this area for nostalgic purposes. I think there's an empty lot right here, if I remember correctly. It was some sort of a hospital for like very sick kids. It was like something, Stars at the Beach or something by the shore, Stars by the Bay, or I don't remember what it was called. But I remember you could be on the boardwalk and you would see like kids that were bound to a wheelchair or like laid out on a stretcher, and they were coming outside to get, you know, fresh air. And I just remember always feeling really bad and saying, man, those kids don't get to enjoy all the same stuff I do. They don't have not as fortunate. And I don't know what ever happened to that. I'm not even sure if it was right here, but I know it was close by to my grandmother's house. I think that's where this was. Yeah, this one house here, I think it's actually 2 units. This kind of randomly popped up as a new build. There's not much action going on in Atlantic City in recent years, and by recent years I mean since, I don't know, whatever the casino started going downhill, 90s or so. I think it was 1978, if I remember correctly, that casinos came into Atlantic City, and it was really supposed to help the city out. And I don't know if that ever really came to fruition or ever actually happened. It definitely changed the landscape a lot. It's something impacted my personal family. By my mother's side of the family had a restaurant on Tennessee Avenue. And I don't know, maybe this little tour here is going to take us on a ride all the way down the boardwalk. Let's see. I wasn't planning on coming up to the boardwalk. I was just going to do kind of the old Chelsea section, and my ADD kind of ended me up on the boardwalk. But yeah, Tennessee Avenue, the restaurant that my grandfather and grandmother ran and my mom and aunt worked in, they had closed it down by selling the property. I don't remember my grandfather passed away. I remember her talking about holding the mortgage and other people coming in and trying to run a restaurant there, failing, and then her kind of taking it back over. And I feel like she sold it three times maybe that it failed after them. which kind of tells you a lot about how, you know, they saw the writing on the wall with the changes, and it just kind of, I don't know, kind of sad. This is Stockton campus here now. This is fairly new. This is right on Albany Avenue, which is as soon as you come over the bridge on Albany Avenue off of the Black Horse Pike. If you ever take the Black Horse Pike from Philadelphia here, it ends up here. This is where a lot of people will come for day trips to the beach without any, you don't need a beach badge or anything like that. There's public parking. Off in the distance there, you can see that's the historic, the Knife and Fork Inn. And this is kind of the start of the casinos. This is, well, I guess let's keep going. Let's do the trip down the boardwalk here. I wasn't planning on doing. But yeah, as you can see, kind of that's where the old high school used to be. The heck was the name of it? It's I think Catholic high school. Something, I don't know, my parents both went there. I can't think of the name of it at the moment. Drawing a blank, but yeah, Atlantic City has a lot of these benches along the side here. They're all painted by artists. And this is one of these places here that used to be a motel, and I think they started selling them. They're about 120,000 or something like that, I believe. Yeah, they're condominiums now. But the very first casino here, when I was a kid, it was called the Golden Nugget, and we used to walk up here every single night in the summertime. And inside of my cousins and I, my sisters, we would come in here and we would watch the birds. There was this big bird cage that had parrots that talked, and they would put on a little show, and we used to come up here and watch for a while. It was kind of just something to kill time, something to do.
Yes, we've seen the world of this cage of ours is designed to make us all win. It's a must that we plug it. This fantastic golden nugget.
Where else could you get a perch like this?
Parents would go into the casinos, gamble a little bit sometimes. Sometimes they would just hang with us. But it was kind of a long walk as a kid. I just kind of made it up here in a few moments with a bike. But being a little kid with little legs, here used to be a beach bar outside here. So this was a happening casino. It changed hands a couple times after it was Golden Nugget. I don't pretend to know the history of all these, but I think it was the Steve Wynn guy was the Golden Nugget, and then it was like the Hilton maybe after that, and then it was Atlantic Place, I believe. There might have been another one in between there, but there's a bunch of little beach bar things that are still kind of open and operating. This is South Beach Beer Garden. Not many people out here. Yeah, we got another little sitting area over here. And these here this is some, I think this is like a condominiums like that are here. It's not a casino. A bunch of stores down here. Some vacant ones. The Ocean Club, this is called. A little tram car. I think it's like $5. You can ride on that thing. It'll take you anywhere, and you could do like day passes or something like that too. I don't know how much they are. Maybe 10 or 15 bucks. You can ride as much as you want. But the very first casino after the old closed down Atlantic Club looks like it's Tropicana. Tropicana has a lot of nightlife. It still goes on over here. Has a lot of places to eat. I believe there's like 2 different towers for rooms that are in there. I don't know which one's better than the next, but there's still a lot of nightlife that goes on in Tropicana. Yeah, I wasn't planning on coming down here. I don't know how good I'm going to do one-handed through all these people riding a bike. But there's Hooters out here on the boardwalk side. It's IMAX Theater, Casa Taco. We got Tony Luke's out here. Perry's Pizza. Good old Chicky and Pete's. Even with how bad it is with this I think it's all the smoke from the Canada thing going on right now, which is what's making it so bad out. The view, there's still people out. We got the beach bar out here. And this little place over here, I think this is California Ave coming up here, and the beer garden. This place gets pretty jam-packed sometimes. Actually, they have the air show every year here, and I was actually in here for the air show, sitting on the edge watching the air show. You can hear this bungalow beach bar all throughout the beach, especially if the wind changes direction. You can hear it in that direction that the wind's blowing. All little tchotchke stores. Yeah, never really went in any of these stores. As a kid, maybe, but I don't really remember them. Where we went as a kid is coming up over here. And that big green building that goes out over top of the ocean, that's what's known, or was known as Ocean One. And it was kind of like a mall that had an arcade up top. And my sisters and I would love going in there. We would want to walk there from our house, but we never were able to do that. So it was a rare occasion that we were actually able to come up when our parents would drive us. But yeah, this is Florida Avenue. My dad's side of the family owned a bar on Florida Avenue, much further down there. But that building right there, that's Upper West Hall, which is part of Boardwalk Hall, which is coming up. And in my career here, I did the beach concerts on the other side of Ocean One, or whatever it's currently called. And we would park in Upper West Hall and walk down to the site. Upper West Hall is a creepy place when there's no lights on. It's just a humongously open like convention center. It has no lights. And you'd park your car in there, it'd be like pitch black. And you'd have to find your way out. You'd come out here actually to these doors that we're coming up to under this awning, this green awning. Yeah. You'd come out those doors there, and then right inside here, this is still Boardwalk Hall. This is where the box office is, right there. And actually, let's see if we can go up and see anything in the windows. There's a lot of history at Boardwalk Hall. Boardwalk Hall was, I guess they'd have Miss America pageant outside over here. But inside the vestibule of Boardwalk Hall, there's a lot of historic displays. I don't know what doors you can see in over here. Yeah, you can't really see much. Okay, so I got inside here. This is in the lobby of Boardwalk Hall. Looks like this is the Atlantic City Labor Museum. This is for the stagehands. Looks like firefighters. Look at the size of that wrench. Wow. The one thing I wanted to show you in here was the Mr. Peanut thing. I always love that. So here is Mr. Peanut. Yeah, those bowls are pretty cool. Oh, it's a historical organ. So yeah, actually, I mean, we're not going to go in there, but the whole back wall of this is like the largest instrument in the world or something. The largest pipe organ. Got the old camera here. It's like the Boardwalk Empire era.
Coming in or you leaving? Are you just coming or you leaving? Okay.
Got the ropes going across. Pretty cool. There's from the Democratic National Convention in 1964. You can see there's like, what is it, ice skating. So this is the Miss America. We were talking about that before. I actually have some really old Miss America posters because they're Atlantic City, topic or whatever. They're really cool, historic things for down here. I keep at my house. Yacht Club, Mambo City. So these are some old uniforms for the beach patrol. Lifeguards. Imagine wearing that nowadays. So we got some Lucy the Elephant Monopoly. Yeah, remember we were talking about that orange loop? There's the St. James Place, Tennessee Ave, New York Ave. It's a really old or really faded board there. Yeah, you got Lucy the Elephant from Margate. Saltwater taffy. That's a really cool wall there too. Very cool. It's a pretty iconic greetings from Atlantic City postcard. Got some horses on the beach. And you still have those things being pushed around outside now. Saltwater taffy. That's a really cool poster there. I love posters. And that is about it. But yeah, this is where they would have the Miss America pageants. Yeah, but in here in Boardwalk Hall, there's elevators that go down there to a parking garage. I don't think you can really see inside of that. Yeah, the glare. But there's also another room in there where all the officials from the city and everybody from Live Nation, the concert promoters would all meet. Security, fire department, police. That's where we would have meetings about the concerts going on over on the beach. There's a little mini golf set up over here. Looks like they're doing some repairs on the boardwalk. But this here, Boardwalk Hall, is a pretty popular place, I believe, for people to come and park, because if you come right down this street, I don't know if you can see it from here. Come down this street, there's a little turnoff that goes underneath of the building, and I think it's $5 to park there all day long. Yeah, this empty lot right here, this was one of the, and it's a parking garage on the other end of it. This was I think it was the Plaza, Trump Plaza. It was crazy. I remember this, like walking down from the, where we would park and walking past here, there were doors that were always propped open. This place had been closed for years. And one day I looked in and I saw there was a ping pong table in there, and there was like 10 construction workers all just playing ping pong. I talked to one of the guys and they said they literally just got paid to stay in there to make sure that the HVAC didn't go down, because if it did go down, it would cause all kinds of mold and whatnot in the building. So it was cheaper to pay them than it was to fix if it got moldy. I don't even know if that's true, but that's what they told me. But yeah, they were there every summer. They'd be out there. I'd see them, wave to them, say hi. But it goes up here is the Ocean One, that it's now some other studio place. I don't even think there's anything open in it anymore. I think it recently just completely closed down. We got Caesars across from it. But yeah, at one point this was like high-end shops. And then it became some kind of like a studio thing, like where they were going to film different movies or something. I don't know what the heck they were doing, but yeah, here's a good example too. And Atlantic City changed their laws to allow you to carry alcohol out on the boardwalk. Yeah, right here. This was the entrance. This is the entrance here to where backstage would be for the shows. And as you can see, this is Arkansas Avenue, and we've come across, and it's actually cement here on the boardwalk, so you could cross this. The city always gets their money, though, right? So they made sure you had to have a permit in order to cross here, which is a big pain in the ass when you have truck after truck loading in, you know, equipment, stages, and all that stuff. Everybody has to have a permit to cross over the boardwalk. But I don't know what they have going on over here. Looks like they got food trucks going down here. But yeah, the ground here is all super compact so that you can drive on it, but we'd have to lay down all kinds of flooring to be able to get tractor trailers and whatnot down here. And there's always somebody getting stuck in the sand with their car that didn't listen. We say don't drive on it because it's just a beach. But yeah, there's another beach bar on the other side over here. I don't know if we're gonna be able to see when we get over there because of the dunes, but it's a Bally's Beach Bar. It kind of always went right into the middle of the concert venue site, which made it interesting as well. As in New Jersey, we have the New Jersey ABC, the Alcohol Beverage Control. Well, Atlantic City has the gaming enforcement, who is in charge of alcohol in addition to the ABCs. You have two different agencies, and in my opinion, one government agency can't even do their job right. And then when you try and get two different ones throwing their weight around, it just made a mess. And then this over here, this is an old, like a facade that's put on top over here where the Hook show is. There's a little bar out front called the Diving Horse, I think it is, or something. But yeah, this show is going to be ending soon. It's a really great show. If you haven't seen it, I'd suggest checking it out. It's kind of like a Cirque du Soleil meets burlesque kind of show. It's really neat. As we're going along here, Bally's is next. Boardwalk opens up a lot over here. There's the yard. And recently, I was just down here when, like I said, it was an air show, and somebody said they just came from the yard and said they stopped selling food there. It's just alcohol now, which I found odd. It's over Bally's here. There's Johnny Rockets. And I believe this is where it's called like the Wild West Casino. I don't know if it's still called that. And then we're coming up here over on Brighton Park. Brighton Park's a little place. Sometimes they have food trucks outside over here, like a little food truck festival kind of thing. But it doesn't get much use. And there's a lot up here. It doesn't get much use. It's really a shame. I mean, look at these. The buildings are just closed down. It's a shame. Now, when we do those concerts, I remember Maroon 5, I believe, that show there. That went all the way down here to MLK. MLK is where, I think it's Lopresti's Pizza. But yeah, the crowd went all the way down there. I don't know if I could turn around and show you how far back that is there. And the crowd was, the stage was all the way up at the building. Crowd came all the way back, probably about 30,000 people right there. I guess we are keeping going all the way down here. Here's Peanut World. I believe Peanut World caught on fire, and that's why that's not open, if I'm not mistaken. I know I was up here, maybe it was a year, maybe two years ago, and the other pier up here caught on fire, and they were trying to get into it, and they had to cut the doors out. I have that on video somewhere. That was an interesting night. There's some people scared of the seagulls. There goes the cops messing it up for the birds. Some old historic, we've got saltwater taffy. It's pretty cool art there. Looks like a big heart. I don't know if you can tell from the video. It's pretty cool. Yeah. It's a pretty iconic building. Planet Hollywood, maybe the name of it, what it was. Looks like it's gonna fall down. It's designed to look like that. Yeah, up here, this is the Schiff's Pier. Yeah, in this building right here, we're coming up on. All right, so that's St. James Place. Back in the day, this was referred to, I believe this is St. James Place. It was like called Snake Alley, like New York Avenue. It's the next street over. Then it was Snake Alley, and the Irish pub is on there. It's been recently closed down. I don't know if it was code violations or what exactly the reason was. I don't know if anybody really knows, but yeah, this building over here too, this was the Gaming Commission, Casino Control Board was inside this building right here. They had another office, I think it was on South Carolina Avenue, South Carolina and Pacific, and you used to have to go there as well. But yeah, this is the pier that burned, I was saying, where they had to cut the big doors off of the building to get into it. Oh yeah, look, you can still see some damage there. But this is Tennessee Avenue, where my mother's family restaurant was. Maybe on the way back we'll take a ride down there. At this point here, I'm just heading down the boardwalk. Might as well keep going. Yeah, coming up over here is Steel Pier. And Steel Pier is where the diving horse used to be. And funny story is my dad, when he was a kid, when he was younger, he had a popcorn, cotton candy, lemonade stand here. And, you know, all these years later, I have the same thing, just not there. I do it in a little bit larger scale. And when I had started, literally had no idea that he had that until he started telling me about it. So up here, resorts. My daughter loves to go here to the Land Shark to go get food because it's right on the water. So we'll park down there and walk up. And there's Margaritaville over here, and Land Shark, Jimmy Buffett's world. I personally hate Jimmy Buffett. but that's a whole nother story. Yeah, the Land Shark bar there, they have an indoor section, there's an outdoor section, there's downstairs, they got stuff on the beach. And then coming up here to across from Steel Pier is the Hard Rock, which used to be the Trump Taj Mahal. And they've redone this and it's very nice inside. Yeah, Steel's Pier over here. There's you always sit out here and you see helicopters flying out. They have helicopter rides, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, we got some dining outside here. Boardwalk's under repair over here, so it's kind of tightened up a little. There's Sugar Factory.
You know what's funny? Fucking Angelina.
I'm surprised how many people are on the boardwalk on such a crappy day. But I guess they're down here and they can't go on the beach for sun, so I might as well walk, see what's going on. So yeah, this is the old showboat, and I guess it's open now as just rooms now. It's not a casino any longer. Look at this guy. Yeah, inside the showboat recently, probably 2018, 2019, there was a pinball like arcade in there. You can go and pay money for the whole day and you would be able to just play pinball all day long. They moved it to another failing place out in I guess it's Hamilton, the mall. That's Starcade, I think it's called. But looks like the seafood festival. I don't know if it's just closing, opening, I don't know. Oh, this pier here, I don't even remember what this was called, but I remember I got hired to do some kind of consulting on this. Somebody wanted to make a music venue out of it. And a friend of mine and I came down here, talked to them for a while, gave them a bunch of quotes and stuff like that, and then never heard anything because they weren't actually going to go through with it after they got some pricing of stuff. Yeah. And then this one here, this is Ocean. And Ocean is the last one on the island down here. It's towards the end. It's called the Inlet. And this, I don't even know how many billions of dollars this was to build, but when it first opened up, it went bankrupt and it was taken over again. But yeah, this gets down towards the end of the boardwalk with activity, and it just ends up at the inlet next to Brigantine. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Ocean actually got somehow the rights to name the beach over here, and I'm not sure what it's called. Maybe it was a Revel Beach or something back in the day. Maybe it was Revel that got the rights to do that. But it looks like a pretty happening pool area over here. It's way too young for me. Maybe a year ago or two. Just kidding. Anyway, we're back out here, the Ocean, and this is kind of the end of the boardwalk. It just kind of wraps up around and goes all the way out to Back Bay and Gilcrest. It's called Gardner's Basin. And you have the aquarium out there, Atlantic City Aquarium. Kind of small, but yeah, this whole section of town just amazes me. There's nothing out here. All these properties just sit vacant. I mean, this is beach block real estate, and it's just vacant. I think this street right here is where Tony Baloney's is, one of my favorite places to go get some bad for you food. Tony Baloney's. Guy started off making mozzarella. I met him at a farmer's market years ago, and yeah, I got talking. He had that place, Tony Baloney's. Something to do with his grandfather always used to call somebody him or somebody Tony Baloney's. But really good food, crazy ideas. The guy Mike that owns it, I'd made contact with him before when he first got a food truck and brought him out to try to get him at Made in America on the Parkway in Philadelphia. That didn't work out, but did get him into some venues, and it was good food, but I don't think he really understood the live music demands and how short window of time you have, that you can't make all the custom crazy stuff that he makes there. But I had a friend come down to my house down here, and they wanted to order. I gave them the menu, and they ordered a pepperoni or a meat lover's pizza, and when they got the bill, it was like $200 because they ordered 2 pies, not realizing how much meat was on it, how big it was. But yeah, it was like a crazy bill that he was not prepared for. But yeah, so here we're at the end, and the boardwalk again just wraps down around the island, and this is what's known as the Inlet. And so you just have, this is where the bay meets the ocean. Tons of people fishing out here all the time. There's a pretty big clamming industry here in Atlantic City, and the boats come out through here and head out to the ocean. Pretty rough waters, it looks like, out there. I do remember a time I came down here with a friend. We were fishing off of one of these jetties, and these guys caught, it had to be 5 or 6 foot brown shark, and they couldn't get it up. And the guy jumps in the water with the shark. I'm thinking, you idiot. Like, that you're now in his territory. What do you think? Just because he's on a hook doesn't mean he's going to be able to bite you? But yeah, here's more of the no houses on the street. And it's like, imagine having somebody give directions to your house, and you tell them like, oh yeah, just make a right hand turn and I'm the first blue house on the right. Yeah. Well, looks like this guy might got something here on his line, and he's just reeling them in. Yeah, it's a shame it's so cloudy out here, but Brigantine is right over there. You can see Brigantine, and they call it the Cove over there, where people drive their Jeeps and 4-wheel vehicles out and park up for the beach. It's not really the ocean beach, but it's water. So looks like this guy did catch something here. What's he got? Oh, he's got a little flounder. Small one. Definitely not a keeper. I have seen Fish and Wildlife guys, or whatever they're called, that come out here and check. You have a lot of foreigners that don't understand how we got to keep, regulations of sizes to keep and whatnot, and they'll try and keep them. See, that guy threw that flounder back in. Too small. But yeah, I'm not gonna ride down the end over there. It's a little bit much for me. I didn't even plan on coming all the way down here. So anyway, yeah, what started off as just a little tour down around the Chelsea section turned into a ride all the way down the boardwalk here. And this is new here. I was here just not that long ago, walking, and this whole area was not smoothed out like that. It looks like they found some tanks in the ground that they pulled out. They must be getting ready to redevelop something here, which is good. I think. I really don't know what's going on. Oh, there's Hot Bagels in the distance over there. That place is great. But man, you go in there and it's a long wait. Everybody from the ocean, you know, around whatever, 11 o'clock after they're finally waking up from a long night of partying, ends up heading over to Hot Bagels, and there could be 150 people in there waiting for a bagel sandwich in the morning. So sometimes it's not even worth waiting. Closer to me, there's places much closer. I can kind of get the same thing. But yeah, so that's a kind of a tour down the boardwalk of Atlantic City, and part of the old section called Chelsea section that well, not old, so it's all old, but the part that I grew up in. Alright, so actually I'm making my way back over here to Tennessee Avenue, and this little plot right here of land in front of Schiff's Pier, the Schiffs own this here, and there was a point in time when I was going to open up an axe throwing venue right here out in front of this. We were going to back tractor trailer, like flatbed tractor trailers, to extend the boardwalk, so it was kind of a walk-on concept. This Tennessee Avenue is kind of one of those things that they've been trying to revitalize for several years here. So we were working with the it's called the CRDA, the Casino Redevelopment Authority, I think is what it stands for. But yeah, they were looking to try to put some money into it as well, but it never really went anywhere. The idea was to get alcohol license and everything. So here's the Casino Control Commission Gaming Enforcement building I was telling you about on Tennessee Ave. So there's the Irish pub across the way over on St. James. And I don't know whatever came of it, but they were trying to do a container park bar thing. Looks like it's over there. Looks like there's actually lights on it. Yeah, looks like they kind of started. It says beer garden up there. Doesn't look open right now. But yeah, this here, I think this hotel here might have been what my mom's friend growing up, their family owned that. It wasn't a Motel 8 at that time, obviously, but there's a couple cool places I like to come. One of them here is called Tennessee Beer Hall. They have a nice little outdoor area here. There's an indoor area. There's Isabella's, Italiano, chocolate. So bar 32. In there, it's kind of like a speakeasy thing that the guys used to own the Iron Room. I guess opened up a little bar back there. It says real small, but so this right here was my grandfather's bar. They own this building right up top here. My mother lived up in those windows right up top over there, and she's told me many stories of her growing up here. But It still says Geno's on the ground out here. Yep. Yeah, I don't know what's inside there now. Oh, you can kind of see in there. Bunch of nothing, construction. But yeah, so you'd walk up those stairs right there and get to the apartments. I still remember as a kid, the bar had closed and there was a guy outside in a wheelchair that was trying to offer us an apple. And I was watching him through the window and he couldn't see that I could see him because he had his back turned to us facing the other side of the street. And I saw him banging the apple on the arm of the wheelchair and saw he pulled a razor blade out of it. And it was crazy because back as a kid, that was always one of the things that they would tell you for Halloween. Don't take candy. They're doing stuff to the candy. Put razor blades in apples. And I remember seeing that as a kid and thinking, oh my God, that's so real. They actually do that. This church right here, I know my mother said they would go to this church as kids, and I believe like the grade school also was in here, and the sisters used to use the rollers to slap the kids' hands and stuff. She would tell me all kinds of stories about that. And I remember also my aunt, when this bus pulls out over here, she told us stories about being up on top of this roof of this corner and having a party or something like that, and the police coming and them getting in trouble. I definitely don't want to do this ride of going down Pacific Avenue, riding back all the way through Atlantic City. Maybe that's another day I'll do that. I'll figure out a better way to hold on to the camera versus one-handing it through a city of people driving like idiots and jitneys flying around, etc. Cool little seagull. Looks like some new construction going up over there, and there was a bunch of pilings put in over at that corner lot there, so maybe they are building up the Orange Loop. I think that name comes from Monopoly, the board game. These streets were orange in color. There's that Cardinal sea container place I was talking about before. An Irish pub. This is closed for renovations. Last time I was in there was probably only last summer, and man, you walk through that place and the floorboards feel like you're gonna fall through the thing. So I was surprised it was even open then. But they do have a lot of cool art and history on the walls inside of there. It's a 9/11 memorial. So this is off of Pacific Avenue at, I believe it's Bellevue and Texas. I always love seeing this art here. Yeah, I came off the boardwalk again because I knew this little piece of art was there. I wanted to get a picture of it. I think there's something else on this wall here too. We're blooming into a beautiful neighborhood. I know I said I wasn't gonna ride down Pacific Ave, but it is really windy up on the boardwalk, and coming up here is probably the most interesting part of the street, where there's a lot of activity with Tropicana and the restaurants out here. We've got like PF Chang's and Cuba Libre and some others, but you can kind of see Atlantic City on the casino side of things, what it's like. Not exactly the best. A lot of things closed down, vacant, no longer in existence. It's California Ave here. This is where the Bungalow Beach Bar is at the end, and that beer garden, which I guess kind of helped revive this little parking lot, where they're able to put some new paving in, get 15 bucks a car now, where there was nothing really before for that to exist even. The embassy, I don't know if that was like some country's embassy or something, I have no idea. But here we go, getting into the what's called the Quarters, Tropicana, Carmine's, which is like a family-style Italian restaurant. They have the Palm restaurant, PF Chang's, like I said earlier. So you kind of enter in there, escalators go up, and it's a big open area. There's a bunch of stuff going on. You walk to your left and you come back over this side for the casino and the boardwalk side. Yeah, as I was riding past, I figured I'd come back here and show you the front of the old Golden Nugget. Still says the Atlantic Club up on top of it, but if this is the front when you're pulling into it, and it now looks like well, it's actually a lot better. Last summer, man, this looked like a scene from The Walking Dead. I don't know what's going on, but there's some cars parked up under there. I'm assuming that it's something similar to what I was telling you before about the old Trump Plaza, where they were just staying there to make sure the HVAC still worked. I don't know what's going on. This guy here was wandering around taking pictures outside, which reminded me there's this pretty cool wall coming up over here of some old-time images of people all dressed up. It's like a wind tunnel right here, so I'm really gonna struggle riding up here, try to get to it. Okay, so here's the tile wall here. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool, 1983.
Yo, you should definitely take a picture of this, bro. I'm gonna sit here and post it myself. Why would you go to Ireland, bro? That's actually cool.
Here's what's called a jitney for anybody that's never been to Atlantic City. That little green bus, there's tons of them, and they're all privately owned, but they'll take you anywhere in the city for $3 currently. Used to be much cheaper, but it's a great way to kind of get around the city. We go up and down Pacific Avenue and drop you off basically anywhere you want it to. Started down on Jackson, where we started this tour off, and then we'll go all the way back and end up there. So this again was where we were talking about what's it called, Stockton coming in and putting a campus in right here, and the Knife and Fork. So here's the Knife and Fork. Oh, did you guys see how cool that dude was that just did that? Hopefully I caught a picture of him so he was now famous how cool he is. But yeah, this place here, some of the best steak and lobster I've ever had is here. Really good food. Very historic inside. It's a nice bar up front. And then upstairs there's dining also. But yeah, so this is the Stockton campus here. And this is where Pacific Ave ends, and then it turns into Atlantic Ave. I guess the island gets a little bit thinner. You know, all the casinos are back behind us, and heading back into Ventnor and Margate, Longport. So that's where I'm heading home to. So I thought I was done over here, but heading back up to the boardwalk, seeing this thing here just reminded me that years ago, it's probably like 2017, 18, there was a tractor trailer. I was riding the boardwalk on my bike, just exercising in the morning, and I'm riding up and I'm like, is that a tractor trailer on the boardwalk? And sure enough, it was. The guy was following his GPS, and instead of turning at the last street, which was Atlantic Ave, he saw there was another street closer. So he decided to come up here, and he turned up on the boardwalk. It's wide enough up here. He turned and then just started driving down, and then he got stuck where it got real skinny and realized, like, hey, I'm not supposed to be on here. This isn't for cars, let alone tractor trailers, because it was like real early in the morning when he had done it. But yeah, I just thought that was a funny little thing to add in there as we're passing that.